Friends, it's Robin. Welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to be talking about the 12 books that I read most recently. Just a little heads up, I am in a very different spot. Wisconsin decided to make up its temperature deficit this month all in one go, and it's been essentially 90 degrees the last 3 days. So I am downstairs. You good? So hopefully the dogs don't continue to be so loud, but I need at least some semblance of airflow, and where I normally film is a very small room and I couldn't breathe. So we're downstairs. Hopefully the background noise isn't too terrible. It's a little echoey down here because we have a very open concept, but we're gonna roll with it. So we have 12 books to talk about today. I had a really good few weeks of reading here, so I have a lot of 5-star books. So the first one is Mad Men by Onley James. This is Avi's story, and I have been waiting for this one. We met Avi's love interest Felix in book 3, and I've been waiting for the romance, and this was so good. This might be my second favorite. Once I'm done reading this, I'm gonna do a whole Unnecessary Evils video where I talk about all the books and rank them and everything like that because I'm obsessed with this series. But absolutely love this. It was so good. In this one, we're following one of the other twins. We got his twin story in the last book, and this is Avi's story. And Felix is his intern at his fashion label, and the two of them end up taking a work trip together out to see his brother Aiden, and they are there to help Aiden try and catch a serial killer. I loved the plot of this one. It was such a cool serial killer type of mystery. Loved that. I loved their romance. We got these little glimpses of Aiden and Thomas, which are the couple that I have been waiting for this whole series. But this one was really good. If you haven't picked this up, I know I've talked about it nonstop, but definitely pick this one up if you like serial killer romances, because it's one of my faves. After that, I dove into One is a Promise by Pam Godwin. This is the first book in the Tangled Lies trilogy, and I'm just going to talk about all 3 of them because all 3 of them ended up being read in the last couple of weeks. So it was One is a Promise, 2 is a Lie, and 3 is a War. I gave each of these books 4 stars, but in all honesty, I could probably give this series 5 stars just because I can't stop thinking about it. The reason I gave them 4 stars is because the series and these books are not without flaws. This is the epitome of Not Like Other Girls. The way that these two are obsessed with Danny and talk about how amazing she is, it gets to be a lot, but I'm starting to talk about the review. I haven't even talked about what the book is yet. So in this trilogy, we are following Danny, who is a dancer, and at the beginning of the book, we learn that Danny was engaged to a man named Cole, and Cole had to leave for work. So he had to go away for a year, and he was supposed to come back at the end of that year, and then they were gonna get married 3 weeks later. But as the year went on, she suddenly stopped hearing from him, and all of a sudden it is 2 days before their wedding, and she receives a visit from a man who tells her that Cole has died. 2 years passes, and she is still grieving the loss of her fiance. And all of a sudden she meets this man named Trace, and Trace shows up at her house because he purchases the restaurant where she danced. He's going to be moving the restaurant to his casino, and he wants to hire her to dance at the casino. The two of them end up having a very reluctant, slow burn romance. I don't want to spoil it from there on out because the twist at the end of book 1 is a spoiler, so I can't talk about the next 2 books because the plot of the next 2 books is wholly dependent on the twist in book 1. But I loved the series so much. It is ridiculously angsty. It is dramatic and addictive, and like I said, it's over the top, and it's the epitome of Not Like Other Girls. These guys are possessive and obsessive and super alpha holy. And for some reason, I loved every second of reading these, hence why I ended up binging this whole series, and I have now downloaded the spin-off series, which is a 9-book series. But I am now obsessed with Pam Godwin. And I loved the series. Like I said, I gave it 4 stars because objectively speaking, it is not perfect, but this, I still think about these characters and I still think about this story and this plot. So it's definitely good, definitely dramatic and over the top, but super addicting. Then I read DNF'd Shadow in the Ember by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I don't remember how far I got. I think I got like 50 or 60% in here, and I didn't care. This felt exactly the same as Blood and Ash, and just as slow, and just as info dumpy, and just exactly the same. It was like the same characters, the same plot, the same stuff, and I could not care. And I know so many people said that they liked this one more, but I just don't, I don't care enough about the Blood and Ash universe to read another book that's essentially the same thing. And I think that's my problem, is I think the people that loved this even more already loved From Blood and Ash, and I feel very mediocre about the Blood and Ash series. And so reading another book in this world just did nothing for me. And so I got like I said, like 50 or 60% into the audiobook, and I was like, I don't care. Like, there is no part of me that's like, I wonder what happened. I honestly forgot I read this. So I'm going to be unhauling this copy, but I wanted to keep it until I filmed this video. And then I read my first Mariana Zapata book, which was Culti, and I gave this 5 stars. This might be one of my favorite slow burn romances of all time. This was so good. I have always been hesitant to go into Mariana Zapata. One, she's super hyped, and so it's always hard to know, like, is it gonna live up to the hype after all this? 2, these books are chunky for romances. This is like a short one of her books, and it's 530 pages, and they're really, really slow burn. And I like a slow burn romance, but I know that like hers are supposed to be painful. Like, you get the romance like there. And so I was like, can I do it? Can I push through 500 pages of slow burn? And it's worth it. It is worth every excruciating second of tension to get to the romance in here. This one is following our heroine, who is a soccer player for the equivalent of the women's soccer league. It has a different name in here. I don't remember exactly what they call it, but they get a new coach at the start of her season, and he is this like really famous soccer player. He ended up leaving the league because he got a pretty serious knee injury and he retired. And now he is coaching them, but while he is this like acclaimed soccer player, he is rude and grouchy and mean, and none of the women on the team like him. You watch them really slowly become friends, and then maybe more than friends. And it was so good. Because it's so slow burn, the way that you watch the 2 of them start to thaw around each other and open up and become friends, like, their friendship was just as good as their romance. And oh my god, I loved every second. I listened to this on audio, and the audiobook was fantastic. And I now picked up 2 more Mariana Zapata books. I also have Lukov, From Lukov with Love, is that what it's called? And then The Wall of Winnipeg in Me, because I fell so hard in love with this book. It's so good. It is so good. After that, I listened to The Love Connection by Denise Williams. This is the second set of that like audiobook trilogy. Penguin is doing a couple of these like audiobook first novella trilogies. The first one was The Steminist by Ellie Hazelwood, and this one is all about romances set at an airport. I gave this one 3.5 stars. It was really fun. It was cute. It was a really unique setting, and the setting played a big part in the book, which I did enjoy. So these 2 meet at an airport. Our heroine runs a grooming business at the airport, and our hero is a frequent traveler, and she sees him every Tuesday getting off an airplane. She has never spoken to him, but she kind of like daydreams about meeting him. And then one of their dogs ends up escaping the groomer and runs like through the airport, and he ends up catching the dog, and so the 2 of them meet. They start to form like a friendship, and it slowly turns into more. And this audiobook is only like 3 hours long. They're all novellas, so they're very short. But somehow Denise Williams made this feel slow burn, which is really impressive in a novella because there aren't that many pages. But the way that they ended up building a different, like a friendship connection first and like getting to know each other on these cute little dates at the airport made it feel more slow burn. And so I really liked that. I just didn't feel anything about these characters. I didn't feel their romance. I didn't feel a connection to them. I never really felt much about this book. I thought it was really cute. I thought the side characters were fun. I thought the plot, the setting, everything like that was good. It never elicited any sort of emotion from me. So in the end, I gave it 3.5 stars, but I do plan to continue on with the next 2 in this series. And then the last 4 books were all for a vlog, which is why I didn't want to split them up. So I did a Kindle Unlimited vlog. I will link that series, like the playlist for that series, up in the cards. I shared everything that I had on my Kindle library. I did a try a chapter tag for all 20 books, and then I read the 4 books that I ranked the highest. And the first one was Try Me by Neve Wilder. This was an college romance, and you are following 2 guys who knew each other growing up. They were kind of frenemies as kids and teens, and due to one of their fathers going to prison, they kind of grew apart. And now they are at the same college, the same university, and they end up getting the same internship at a law firm, and it kind of reunites them. And they rekindle their friendship and a little bit more, and it was really cute and sweet, and I enjoyed it a lot. I gave that one 4 stars. Then I read Power Plays and Straight A's by Eden Finley and Saxon James. This is a part of their like hockey universe world, so it's set in the same world as Eden Finley's Fake Boyfriend series, and this one is a college romance. And you are following a hero who is a hockey player as he falls in love with his twin brother's best friend, who is kind of this quiet, reserved, nerdy guy that is new to the college, and they have an opposites attract romance, and it was cute. I gave this 3 stars. This is another one that I just felt nothing for. I felt nothing for this book. And then I read Satan's Affair by Ishii Carlton, which is a prequel novella to her cat and mouse duet, and this was one of the darkest books I've ever read, and it was weird, and it was grotesque, and gratuitous, and violent, and I gave it 3 stars because part of me loved it, and part of me could not handle it. So it was really strange. I have no idea still if this is fantastical or not. I'm still going to read the cat mouse duet, but I do not know what I think about this book. And then I read Still Beating by Jennifer Hartman, which I also gave 5 stars. This was possibly one of my favorite books of the entire month. It was amazing. This has been going around everywhere in the romance community, and everyone's been talking about how dark it is, and it is extremely dark, but not in a violent way, but in an emotionally traumatic way. We are following these 2 characters who get kidnapped, and it is them dealing with that kidnapping and all of the abuse that comes along with that. And then the last 2/3 or so is them dealing with the trauma of what has happened to them and how they try to reacclimate to everyday life post something absolutely life-changing. And it was intense, and it made me feel so many emotions. I felt my heart beating in my throat the entire time I was reading. It was a lot, and a book that I will not forget about. But a book I did forget about was Book Lovers by Emily Henry, which I also gave 5 stars. I absolutely love this. I love everything that Emily Henry writes. Her books are so funny and charismatic, and she usually takes these really common romance tropes and kind of twists them, and this one was the perfect example of that. She took so many romance tropes, like your small town, essentially a Hallmark movie, but our big city hero does not change her ways, and she falls in love with another big city hero, and it was just so much fun. This has tons of book references and mentions of reading, and it was so good. It was so good. I will say that I think if I ranked all of my Emily Henry books, this is my least favorite of hers, but I still gave it 5 stars. I cried twice. Like, it still made me tear up and cry. Still 5 stars, still absolutely amazing, still gonna be one of my favorite books of the year. That is it for this recent reads. Let me know if you have read any of these. Let me know what your last 5-star book was, and I will catch y'all in my next video. Bye!